What's up, outdoors peeps? I just got back from a vacation to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And while I wasn't necessarily focused on filming throughout this vacation, I did bring some of my camera equipment and I wanted to showcase some of the beauty of the UP. I know this isn't my normal goofy fishing video, although I do fish in this video, but I actually thought this would be really cool because I know a lot of you also love the outdoors, and then on top of that, I had a few points that I wanted to bring up that I thought were important, and I'm gonna share those at the very end, so stay tuned. But for now, I want to talk about the journey which we took. I went up there with my girlfriend, and this was my first ever trip to the Upper Peninsula. On the first day, we left early afternoon, and we actually only got to a spot called Vanderbilt, Michigan. It's not even in the UP yet, but we just crashed there, had some dinner, and then left early in the morning the next day, and that's when we got to the Mackinac Bridge, which is, by the way, outstanding, and that was pretty awesome. So throughout this video, I'm going to overlay the footage which I took. As we were driving over the bridge, I mean, I'm used to big bridges because I lived in California for a while, but this one was just absolutely gorgeous, and I was just pumped up when I saw it.
Wow!
As we made it over the bridge, we officially made it to the UP, and this is where we kind of just explored around on the beach. I guess that would have been on Lake Michigan, because on the west side of the bridge is Lake Michigan, on the east side of the bridge is Lake Huron.
Oh, welcome to the UP, eh?
We were just messing around on the beach and just kind of walking around sightseeing. But the first major place where we wanted to go was actually a place called Kitch-It-Ikipi, and it's basically like this big spring. It's super, super deep, clear water, and it's got this little thing that's on a pulley system, and it's kind of like a dock, and you float out there, and what's awesome about it, all of us fishermen can agree, there's these huge lake trout, and it's like 45 feet deep, and you can see to the bottom, and you just see these huge lake trout swimming around. Unfortunately, I can't fish. If I could have fished, you know I would have. I would have tossed a Ned rig, and they probably would have chomped it. Regardless, this place was awesome. I would definitely recommend going to Kitch-iti-kipi if you are up north. After exploring Kitch-iti-kipi, we made our way over to Tahquamenon Falls, which is where our campsite was for the night. Now, before getting to Tahquamenon Falls, I had actually been looking at it online, and I was really pumped about it. And getting there, it did not disappoint. There's basically a lower falls section and then an upper falls, and you can actually take a hike all the way up to the upper falls from the lower falls. That's about 8 miles round trip. We got about a mile and a half in, and we cut it back because there was a ton of mosquitoes out, and honestly, we were super hungry. Regardless though, super cool hike, pretty strenuous. I would definitely recommend doing it. I would like to get back and do that hike. Regardless, we did go to the upper falls, and I gotta say, that is a sweet waterfall. Basically, the water's like super like copper toned, and I think that is something to do with like the tannic acid in there from the trees. I don't know all the science behind it, but it looks really cool, and I was pumped about it. That night, we camped out at the Tahquamenon Falls State Park, and I gotta say, the facilities were amazing, and I super enjoyed that campsite. So I definitely want to go back. But after sleeping on the ground and getting up relatively early, we decided we were going to go to Whitefish Point, which is basically that little point on the Upper Peninsula, and we were just going to explore around there. Definitely a super pretty beach. That was my first time ever experiencing Lake Superior. Gorgeous lake. It's huge and it's super awesome, so I was pretty pumped about that. But as we made it out of Whitefish Point, we just kind of shot west from there and explored along the way. This is the part that a lot of you are waiting for. We did stop at a couple little lakes along the way, and I found this one, and surprisingly, I actually did, in fact, catch a smallmouth bass.
Ned rig.
Upper Peninsula smallmouth bass, baby. I'm not here for fishing, I'm just here for camping and exploring, but I tell you what, you can't argue about catching smallies. I love smallies. Little Ned rig action, baby. Oh, it's juicy. It's just too juicy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love smallmouth bass, especially in the UP.
Now, unfortunately, there wasn't a ton of bank access at this lake, so I didn't end up catching another fish. And honestly, this trip really wasn't about fishing, but I had rods with me because I always leave home with fishing poles because I always think there's that little itsy bitsy chance I'm gonna catch a fish. That was a good time. Regardless, after that, we shot up north and we went to a place called Grand Marais. It's just a cute little town. We grabbed some lunch and then we started moving our way out west. Now, the thing is that's really funny here is we got on this road, and I don't think I have any footage, but essentially we got on this one road and that thing was rough. I had to drive probably 20 miles an hour because that thing was just gravel and it was bumpy. It was brutal. But we finally did reach pavement, and then it was smooth sailing from there. And then we actually made our way out to Munising, which is where Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore is. And so we just kind of settled in for the evening, relaxed, and then the first thing in the morning we got up and did like a kayaking excursion. My girlfriend and I were both in a tandem kayak, and we kayaked along Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. Unbelievable. Definitely would recommend. 10 out of 10. Definitely something that everybody should do, just because it's, well, you're super active while you do it, but at the same time you're getting awesome sights and you're on the water. Can't complain there. The only complaint was that the tandem kayak did not have any space for fishing gear. Not cool, guys. Not cool. Unfortunately, on that particular day it was super windy, so we could only go 3 hours in the kayak rather than 6, but quite honestly 3 hours was plenty, so I'm not going to complain too much. As we left the kayaking thing, we kind of cleaned up, and then we actually just shot further west, and we made our way to Marquette, Michigan, which is, I think, is the biggest town in the UP. It's like a whopping 21,000 people. Really cool little town, but we actually did a lot of hiking around there, and this is actually my favorite part of the trip. I don't do a lot of videos about hiking because, quite honestly, I just kind of find them boring to make a video about it, but I gotta say, the sights here were incredible. A couple of those trails around Marquette, I would definitely recommend. If you are gonna make your way up to the Upper Peninsula, you should definitely hit those spots. Basically hiked up, got on this kind of strenuous climb up some rocks, and once you got on the top of this big boulder, you could just see for miles. Now, I'm not gonna say that this was anything like a Colorado hike where you're up 12,000 feet in the air. This was more like 1,200 feet in the air, but it was enough to where you had a nice vantage point of Lake Superior, as well as just all this forest. Fortunately, I got quite a bit of footage, and hopefully the footage does it justice. After our hikes, I think we had like 28,000 steps, so we were pretty much brutally exhausted. We caught a couple beers, had some dinner, and called it an evening. The next day, we actually made our way down back to the lower side of the Upper Peninsula and ended up staying on the Mackinac Island, which was awesome. Took a little ferry boat out there, got out to the island, and rode bikes around on the island. There's no cars out there, so it was really cool. We just stayed at a little bed and breakfast there in town, and I gotta say, if you're looking for just kind of like a cute little place to stay, maybe with your family, it's super kid friendly, I would definitely recommend that as well, because it was a really neat experience, and it was a great way to end the trip. By that point, we were feeling pretty, tired and kind of gross from all the hiking and the exploring, and it was nice to just kind of clean up, relax, and ride a bike around, have a nice dinner. And then the next day we shot south and made it back home. Okay, so why did I share all of that with you? Well, quite honestly, I just thought that a lot of you would enjoy the video footage that I took in this beautiful, beautiful place. But on the other hand, I thought it would also be valuable because I think it's really valuable every now and again to disconnect. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but while I was on this trip, I basically forced myself to disconnect solely because the Upper Peninsula does not have great cell phone service in most areas, so I wasn't able to get distracted by emails or social media, and it was really nice to just kind of live in the moment and experience Mother Nature and just the beauty around me. So for those of you that are looking for a cool vacation, I thought maybe I could share the Upper Peninsula with you, and maybe it's a place that you would eventually want to go as well. Anyways, I'm done rambling. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll probably get back to some good old fishing in the next one, but thank you so very much for watching. We'll catch you next time.